You are getting ready to listen to the voice of Dr. Rhadi Ferguson, 2004 Olympian, four-time national judo champion, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt, author, speaker, and coach.
Hey, what's going on, man? Welcome to another version of Coffee with Rhadi. It's the post-homecoming version. I just got back home last night from Howard University, Washington, D.C. I'm using my lavalier mic, so y'all let me know if you can hear me, please. Just want to make sure I can be heard properly and clearly. And if you can hear me, just let me know. I appreciate it. All right. So, tell you what, man, I had a wonderful homecoming experience. A couple things happened to me. First and foremost, it was my first homecoming that my kids were there. I was able to take Rufus to homecoming when he was really young, but he had not been, young, I'm talking about 2-3 years old. Rhadi had never been, and then Rufus has never been like he has now. Okay, good. We put this back down here. And it was cool to have my kids there, to see all my friends. Hadn't seen in a while. It was the first homecoming since the pandemic, so that was a really, really quality experience. A few things happened to me, man, that was kind of weird. My Uncle Alan, I was pretty close with, passed away this year, and I was one of the eulogists at his homegoing service, and he was a police officer and he was also in the military. And I was at the homecoming brunch on Sunday, and this one of my frat brothers, I don't know him. He came up to me and he was like, "Hey, I need to talk to you." I said, "Why you need to talk to me?" He said, "Well, the Lord told me I needed to talk to you." He said, "Man, I suffer from PTSD and I'm in the military." And I was like, "Man, my student, Dr. Gino Colura, he did his dissertation on, PTSD and how individuals in the armed forces utilize jiu-jitsu and martial arts to deal with their PTSD." So I said, I was talking to him about that. He was like, "Man, I could really see your aggressiveness and how you have to temper it." I said, "Yeah." I said, "I do." He says, "I had that same issue." We're talking back and forth. Then I started talking to him about my Uncle Alan, because he was somebody I can talk to like that. And he taught me how to use a 2.5-inch knife, and I don't carry a 2.5-inch knife because I know how to use a 2.5-inch knife, and I also know my personal deficiencies, so I don't carry a 2.5-inch knife. But I was talking about my Uncle Alan to him, and my Uncle Alan used to sit down and watch. I used to watch wrestling. He didn't like wrestling, so I used to watch wrestling on Saturday from 11 to 12 and 12 to 1. And after wrestling went off, then the Kung Fu theater used to come on, where they used to have all the Kung Fu movies, when they when they did all the funny voiceovers. And my Uncle Al and I used to sit down and watch Enter the Dragon, Return of the Dragon, Game of Death, the Bruce Lee movies. And I was sitting there talking to him about my Uncle Alan. I don't know what happened to me, man. I jumped in the hole so bad. I was talking to him and I started crying, talking about my uncle, but I don't think I ever. There was like a Caribbean carnival-like celebration going on down in South Florida at the time when I had to do the eulogy. So I broke away from that, went over to my Uncle Alan's homegoing, did a little preach thing, bop, 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 and then came back and kept partying. And I don't ever think that I dealt with that grief from that situation. I realized I was holding that thing, and I didn't even realize I was holding that thing in the pocket. And I'm talking to this guy, and I started talking about my Uncle Alan, and just boom, I had to, he had to stop and give me a hug, and we had to, and listen, I don't know the dude like that, but we had to hug it out. And he was like, man, are you all right? And I was like, yeah, man, I said, it's what I said. I said, I think I'm good. I think I'm good. Um, but the beautiful thing about that moment was I was like, man, he needed me to help him, but the Lord has sent him to talk to me so I could have that little emotional release. And I don't think I would have did that anywhere else except for at Howard Homecoming. I don't know if I would have been in an environment where I could feel that safe and that vulnerable with that type of undergirding, or what we call like a bed or foundation of love, for you to feel like you can have those particular moments with people. Um, and that's not even my whole homecoming experience, but in a nutshell, it is, because the beautiful thing about Howard Homecoming is, man, the last time, I know I'm not finishing my sentences because I got my brain is a little jumbled from Homecoming, all the images and conversations and feel good moments and laughing and all this. It's all I still gotta kind of, I gotta talk to you all so I can kind of order it out in my head. Um, the beautiful thing about it is that you're in a place where you can relax. I try to explain to people what it is like, and black folks try to tell white folks how exhausting it is. I mean, it is exhausting. Like, being in the United States is like, it's an exhausting experience. It's exhausting. Like, when you wake up in the morning and you gotta go outside, it's exhausting. It's like you gotta put on a suit, and then you gotta act all day, and then you can come home and then you can be yourself. And the shame of some folks is that they've worn that suit so long that they forgot it's a suit, and they just believe that that's who they are. And that's also shameful. And I tell people, I say, when you're white in the United States and you're around 80, 85% of the people who look like you all the time, who talk like you, have the cadence that you have, who more often than not have the same experiences that you have, it's very difficult for you to think what it's like for you to walk around and be 13% of the population. When you go to Howard Homecoming, or you go to Howard, you go to HBCU, I get the same feeling that white folks have when they walk around in America all day. I get to jump into my microcosm, and I get to feel that level of freedom that white folks feel when they walk around the United States. I get to feel that for a weekend, and that's what it feels like. And I have I've had some white friends go to Howard Homecoming before. I had Chris Brown go to Howard Homecoming with me, and he's like, man, he said, I felt embarrassed that I was uncomfortable being uncomfortable. I said, yeah, man, it's not the same. He said, I've been to Japan before where I was a minority. I said, that's not the same. I said, you can read up on the cultural imperatives of Asian or Japanese culture. I said, you can't read up on the cultural imperatives of black culture. I said, because black folks are not a monolith. I mean, you got Ethiopians, you got Nigerians, you got black folks from the South, you got black folks from the Caribbean, black folks from the Midwest, black folks from the West Side, black folks from the North. Then you got New York, New Jersey, Philly, you got DC. Then you got understand black folks in North Carolina and South Carolina, and then black folks from Florida and Georgia, and then you got black folks from Texas, and you got to learn how to move in all those spaces. Um, and then not to mention the Caribbean, and you got your different islands, and it's really, really different in that space. And unless you've gone to class, and more often than not at HBCU, you don't learn all those different branches of the diaspora and how to move and groove in those spaces. And it is just such a, it's like an emotional massage, you know, like a Swedish massage where you can just kind of sit back and you can just relax. As soon as you get on campus at Howard University, you can look around and be like, oh my God, relax. I could take the monkey suit off, man, and I could just relax. I can be myself amongst my people. I can talk the way I want to talk. I can say the things I want to say, and I can just relax. And it was so comfortable being able to do that. And my son said it a couple of weeks ago. He was like, "Daddy, why would anybody want to go to a white school when you can go to an HBCU?" And I said, "Son, I don't know. I didn't go. I mean, I went to HBCU. You know, I went to HBCU for my undergrad and my master's, and my PhD was online where I had to do the cohorts and go in town like every couple of months. But I couldn't see what somebody say. Missed you this weekend. I heard you were there. Oh yeah, okay, yeah. Um, Miss you too, brother. But man, it was a great experience. I got in on Saturday. Rufus had a game on Friday. We so that Saturday morning we flew in. We hit the hotel. As soon as we got to the hotel, took an Uber. First of all, we got to the airport. As soon as we got to the airport, hit the app, got an Uber, went straight to the hotel. Got to the hotel, dropped the stuff off, left the hotel, went straight to Brent Hughes tailgate on Florida Avenue Grill. Florida Avenue Grill, you know, met a bunch of friends, ate some food, walked up the hill, got into the game, went to the game, went on the sidelines. My son was, I mean, he was just enamored by the whole, you know, the scene, the process, the players on the sideline. That was his first time being on the sideline of a college football game, and he didn't realize, you know, how big the college football players are. He, I told him, I said, bro, I said, don't get confused by the guys on your football team, the people you play in, you know, within your district or your area. When you get to college, I say people are the size that they are for the position they're supposed to be. I say, so the linemen are 250 to 315 pounds. The tight ends are anywhere between 210 and 260. I said the linebackers are anywhere from 225 to 250. I said I said, you know, everybody is that size that they're supposed to be. I said it's not like in high school when you're trying to, you know, field a football team and put people where you think they can go. Um, so it kind of inspired him to jump back in the weight room and go even harder. My daughter loved the experience because some of my female friends just, I mean, they just saw little Rhadi, and now, man, they just fell in love with her and just grabbed her and took her and walked her off and took her here and took her there. And she just had a wonderful time, all of it. I think that if you have a black child, you need to take your child to homecomings and classics in the fall. I mean, everywhere. I mean, Jackson State, South Carolina State, Hampton, Howard, North Carolina A&T, Prairie View A&M, FAMU, Florida Memorial. You need to go to these places. Spellhouse, like Spelman and Morehouse, their homecoming. You need to go to these places so that your children can see people who look like them and exemplars in their spaces that look like they do. Because more often than not, you go to school, most of your teachers are white, the principal's white, assistant principal's white, most of the doctors and dentists are white, and they don't really get to see exemplars in their you know in their fields that look like them. And this is very different from some of the kids that grow up in the Caribbean, where the pediatrician, the doctor, the lawyer, the teachers, the pastor, the deacon, I mean, everybody in the church, I mean, it looks exactly like they do. So their ability to form their self-concept is really, really different. And I think that is important. Uh, the name of the book is escaping me right now. That talks about the development of self-concept of the Black child. I will put it in the thread because I think it's important to mention that particular book, and I'll put it in the description of my YouTube video when I upload this to the to YouTube for Coffee with Rhadi. I think it's important. Um, Being able to see people before you achieve some of the things that you want to achieve is, I mean, it's just monumental. Just as the barrier for the 4 minute mile, nobody could break it until it was broken, and after it was broken, everybody broke it. Uh, I just think those things are so important. Every homecoming that I've been to since I've been in school in 1992 and attended, let me, what do you say? Indeed. Oh, Randy, how are you? I don't think I saw you this past weekend. Um, but let me say this. Every homecoming since 1992 that I've attended, I have seen Dr. Paul Cotton. And he was not always Dr. Paul Cotton. He was also my wrestling coach at Howard. And I told him, I said this morning, I texted him, I said, I don't think I've ever done a homecoming where I haven't seen you. He said, man, that's how it's supposed to be. And he's 100% correct. And we didn't talk about it this homecoming. I'm glad nobody really fixated on it, but this was the first homecoming that I've ever done without my man Sean Boyens. And we used to call Sean Mr. Homecoming. He used to do the homecoming countdown for us every year to get ready for homecoming. But Sean passed away from COVID. And it was something. And I saw Kyle Sanders at the brunch. And we hugged it out. But I didn't want to say anything. I was having such a good time. I didn't want to say anything about Sean because I didn't want to have another moment at home. I didn't want to have another homecoming brunch moment. I damn near had a breakdown when I hugged Yvette, and then I had a breakdown with the Q talking about my uncle, and I didn't need another one. Those things aren't bad, and it's not. You don't do that because you're sad. I think you just get so overwhelmed with emotion from just the homecoming experience, from the people that you see. I've been to Carnival, and at the end of every Carnival that I've been to, I've cried because it's just so nice. Everything is just so cool, and everybody's so happy and so joyous that you just get overcome with emotion sometimes. It doesn't always happen to me at homecoming, but it did happen to me at this particular homecoming. Now, let me say this. There's something that we have coming out of Carnival called Carnival Tabanca. Like after Carnival, like sometimes people get sick or they get really sad or they get really depressed because you're on such an emotional high that when you leave that particular situation and you go back to what we call real life, or you get back into the flow of things, things are just so, let me move this out of the way. They're just so different. You just feel so blah or flat. The one thing that I notice about homecoming, which is different than going to Carnival, is when I leave homecoming, I don't have that Tabanca feeling. I don't feel flat. I think one of the reasons is because as bad as homecoming is, it is not comparable to the pace of Carnival. The Carnival pace makes you feel like you have died twice. Homecoming, you have options about how bad you want to be fatigued and how bad you want to die. When you go to Carnival, all your tickets have to be bought in advance, and you feel like you have an obligation to go because all the parties are $150, $200. At homecoming, you can make some decisions at the door. You can make some decisions Thursday night, Friday night, Saturday night, etc. I did a smaller homecoming. Howard homecoming is usually done by alumni from Thursday to Monday morning for the people who are trying to do a full homecoming. A shortened homecoming will be a Thursday to Sunday, doing the brunch and then heading to the airport. And then a what we would call an in and out homecoming is Friday, Sunday. What I did was I did a really, really short homecoming, which is even shorter than the in and out homecoming. I came in on Saturday morning and I left on Sunday. And I did that because my son had a game on Friday night, and I wanted to make sure that my son and daughter can enjoy the homecoming experience. If you're going to do that, I would recommend that if you want to come in on a Sunday and then leave, come in on a Saturday and leave on a Sunday, I would recommend that you find someone who is staying till Monday so that you can drop your belongings in the room in the morning when you guys meet up to go to brunch, and then you can grab them and go to the airport, because you don't want to be walking around in the brunch with a backpack on. That's my piece of advice there for the homecoming crew. What is the next thing I want to mention here? Howard University won the football game. I don't know the score. I may have watched 5 plays total. The game was on ESPN. That's all I got for you there. I'm not sure what's going on with Howard University's band. There was only 3 people who were playing the tuba. I don't know if they don't give band scholarships anymore, but the band seems like it's shrinking. I don't know what we got to do to fix that, but it does not look good. It does not look good. It does not look good at all. It doesn't look good. The fine arts department at Howard is an important department, and an extension of that, or what we see from that, or the outward sign that we see during the fall. I mean, it's the band. It's the band and the dancers, and whether those people are in fine arts or not, that's the extension of the fine arts department that people would know. The band looks, I mean, it looks horrible. And when I mean it looks horrible, I don't mean it looks horrible because it looks bad. It looks horrible because it looks poor in its presentation per the numbers of participants. And maybe maybe somebody's going to talk to me or call me and be like, well, man, you need to donate money. Okay, that's cool. DM me and tell me why I need to donate money, if I need to donate money for the band. And then also let me know what the money's going to do. And then I'll help as much as I can. Because what we got going on is unacceptable. Unacceptable. That can't. That's not sustainable. That's not sustainable at all. Next thing, getting back in the flow. I got back home this morning, got up, did my cardiovascular workout. Still have to do my weight room stuff. Still got some more work to do. I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm slow poking a little bit. I don't really feel physically like I'm up to it. However, we do what needs to be done when it needs to be done. And I do feel emotionally energized and recharged from going to homecoming. I'm glad that my kids had the experience of a Howard University homecoming. I could possibly see myself doing it with them again, depending on what I want to get accomplished next year. I do want to do homecoming with some of my friends next year. I think that experience, especially for some people who haven't gone to an HBCU, I think I need to take some people under my wing and get them through that Howard University experience and that HBCU experience and that homecoming experience, because I know some Black folks who, they're in America, they work all day and they work all week and they work all year, and they're just emotionally just spent and exhausted of the process of working and operating within white America. And that's just where we operate and where we work. Those are the things. And people say, oh, that's just America. It is America. And under the umbrella of America, there's Black America, there's white America, there's Latino America, there's Hispanic America, there's Mexican American. Under that umbrella, there's South America, there's North America, there's Central America, there's right under the umbrella of America. And we are all Americans, but there is there's a dominating culture, and then there's what we call a subordinate culture. And operating when let me see this here, Eric Henson. Next year, Henson, for sure, man. Um, yeah, operating within that dominant culture, man, is something. And you gotta learn how to when you're jumping in the pool of the dominant culture, you gotta learn how to swim. And the dominant culture doesn't have to learn anything about you unless they want to. And if they don't want to, they don't have to. And I just think that I seen a lot of my friends, man, especially after the pandemic, a lot of my friends, they just going through emotionally, and they need a reset. And you need a nice Jackson State homecoming, or a Howard homecoming, or North Carolina A&T homecoming, or you need a good homecoming reset. And I don't know how you function without that. I don't know how you function. Let me see what somebody else said. Yeah. Sister Leah, the homecoming. Thank you. Now let me close with that. The homecoming reset and recharge is necessary for you to be able to function, because none of us can function off of a dead emotional battery. And during the year, your emotional battery just gets run down. You have things to do. You have responsibilities. You have you have imperatives, not just a responsibility. You have responsibilities. You have imperatives, and even in relationships, you have people who are married who got to go back, and sometimes they got to recharge. And I've heard people who are married go back and say, sometimes I just had to go back and realize, who I am, or that I still got it. Because sometimes you need to know you still got it, not for the purpose of going to get it, but just for the purpose of, man, I feel recharged. Now I can go back. Because 1 and 1 is 2, and half is 1. And the Bible tells you the 2 are better than 1. So you want to make sure that you're as full as possible for the person that you're with. And then you got people like me. Man, I came back to homecoming the year that my divorce was filed. My divorce wasn't complete yet. Man, when I came back to homecoming, I limped in the homecoming. And one of my boys laughed at me. He's like, Ken Stewart, and we were laughing together. He's like, dog, you had to come. I said, yeah, I had to come, because otherwise it looked like I'm running, and I don't run from nothing. He said, yeah, dog. He said, you can't run from it, dog. He said, but I know you're hurting. I said, dog, I'm hurting for sure, 100%. And I think this homecoming, it was kind of cool, because all my friends were like, damn, dog. They say, you back, man. It's the first time I see you. You can laugh, and you were having a good time, and you enjoying yourself, and I was, and it was awesome. And I told people, I said, man, I'm in a wonderful relationship with a wonderful woman. I've been in a relationship now for 2 years, and things are just, smooth, and they're just smooth. And I was looking back at the pictures. I looked at the pictures from like 3-4 years ago. I look at the pictures now, and I was like, damn, man, I was hurting. But you're in a fight, and you're in the medium that we operate through is air, but it's still like water. And some of us are trying not to drown. You're just trying not to drown. You're trying to stay afloat. And there was a portion I was trying to stay afloat, and now I'm able to swim. And I'm swimming better, and I'm swimming more easy. And I can tell you, like I told anybody, man, homecoming is therapeutic, but that don't mean you ain't got to go to therapy. You still got to go to therapy. When life knock you down and rattle you, put you up against the ropes and traumatize you, you gotta put some ice on your stuff, man. You gotta heal yourself up. You gotta go to therapy. I still check in every quarter, do what I got to do. Kids still go when they need to go, and ain't nothing wrong with it. And you do all that, and you throw those homecomings in there, and you'll be all right. Man, listen, I don't want to ramble too much longer. My thoughts will get a lot better as the week goes on. I am just super excited. I still got a smile on my face from homecoming. For everybody that I met this homecoming and that we hugged it out, we talked, I want to say thank you for making my homecoming absolutely fantastic. Thank you for a quality homecoming experience. I just want to thank alma mater, just thank Howard University for being Howard University. Howard University was and is one of the best decisions that I've ever made in my life. If I can do it all over again, I'd do it all over again. It continues to give back to me in droves, and I appreciate it. And as I always say, when I close, I always say I love you, but God loves you best. But today, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. All right, just want to leave a comment who's on here. And then I want to say, I love you, but God loves you best.
You are getting ready to listen to the voice of Dr. Rhadi Ferguson, 2004 Olympian, 4-time national judo champion, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt, author, speaker, and coach.